everyone. This is Prateek. I look after marketing and growth at Covalent, and we are excited to kick off our community calls for the year 2022. It's just been 27 days, but we've already shipped like 4 items, like 4 important pieces of the Covalent network. And to talk about all of that, we've got the amazing team. We also have Felix, our partner from Chorus One, who's joining us today, who will be giving us a rundown of what Chorus One does and how we have tagged together to kind of build a great staking ecosystem. Okay, let's kick it off. Ganesh, you want to take it away?
Thank you, Prateek. Awesome to see all of you guys again. We're back from the holidays with full force. There's 4 things that we've shipped on the Covalent network, but besides that, we've also shipped 2 other things. We've shipped a new NFT market data endpoint that captures NFT sales transactions across 4 or 5 different blockchains, and I believe 12 or 13 different marketplaces, and we continue to add to those endpoints. 2 weeks ago, we shipped the most comprehensive in-depth research report on Axie Infinity. So that is work done by Brandon and his team, which was very well received. A lot of people downloaded that report and a lot of comments on that. GameFi is a thing, and that's another venue to capture Covalent data. So it's an opportunity for us, and we just want to tell the world that we have the best data, and Covalent, the ecosystem, can have a play there. And then the big news that we've all been waiting for is the Covalent network. So this has been under wraps, something that we've been working on for a year and a half. So a long time. We have a dedicated team that's been building this. And yesterday we announced 4 specific things that had come out. And the 4 things are, first, we open source the white paper for something known as the block specimen producer. So the block specimens are artifacts that is generated through our data pipeline. It's a unified canonical storage representation of what blockchain data does. So this format captures all blockchain data. It doesn't matter if it's a proof of work or a proof of stake or a proof of history. It doesn't matter what kind of blockchain. All of that data is unified, normalized, and put into a storage unit that can then be ingested down the pipeline. So think of it as if you're in an oil refinery, there's a place where you have the fracking or the drilling from the oil fields, and then it's transported through a pipeline, and then there's a refinery, and then you have standard products coming out. So it's kind of the same analogy here. And so this is something that no one else in the space has done. And I think there's a couple of benefits from this. One is that because this is novel in the sense that it's cryptographically secure, this is what we believe, in our opinion, the best approach to build a decentralized data middleware. So when you have a distributed set of untrusted parties or trusted parties of operators or validators, and they're extracting data, we now rely on mathematics and cryptography to ensure that there's no malicious or accidental hacks or corruption of data. So this is why it's super important, because the whole reason we are in Web3 is every step along the way, there's a proof or an attestation that mathematically it's cryptographically secure. So that's really what this is. It's within the ethos of Web3. To my knowledge, there's nobody else out there in the space that has a proof-backed data extraction process. So very proud of the work that the team has done. And so we've open sourced not just the specification, but also a reference implementation. And there's actually ongoing work with 2 other blockchains with completely different formats that can extend these patches. And our intention is for the entire ecosystem to adopt this specification. I think it'll just level up the space. So the 2 things are the specification and the open source reference implementation. So there's a team, Niall wrote the specification, Pranay and Levi wrote the actual code. So kudos to them. They've put a lot of hard work into it. The 3rd thing is the network landing page. So you can go to covalenthq.com/network. And here, what we've done is we have collected everything that pertains to the network, which is the token economics, the token utility, how CKT actually circulates in the network roadmap, the different phases of the launch of the network. It is a progressive decentralization journey. And here, not only do we have a single place for all the content, but from a visual perspective, you can see how we're all consistent with the backgrounds here. So Sumit and Rohit and team have worked really hard to generate that scroll attached motion graphic. So the I just want to tell you, go look at the page yourself. It's pretty amazing. I think the team has worked really hard, and all of the implementation was done by Joe on our team. So really great work. And this is an ongoing reference point for everything that pertains to the network, including all of the professional validators. How do you join as a validator? It's just a completely different funnel. So that went live yesterday. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing that went live is a fun little thing. All of this is super technical, super low level. And so what we've now done is we've open sourced all of the wallpapers, all the background images, all the Zoom images. So you can see, like, one of the images that we all have is this really beautiful, science fiction style particles moving into, I don't know, it's like a spaceship. I don't know what it is, but something really cool. And so there's a whole diverse set of wallpapers. I believe there's 6 different wallpapers from that motion graphic that you can use as your wallpaper, Zoom background, print it out, put it on the wall, hand it out as posters, maybe issue NFTs. I don't know what the story there is, but just something fun for us to celebrate all of this. And one of my prior jobs, we used to print out T-shirts to celebrate every milestones, and I really miss that. I think we should get back to it. I think it's a great thing to just have T-shirts. And what happens over multiple years is just like how I believe Harish and our team collects these hockey jerseys. I've seen that in his Zoom background. And we just have lots of Covalent T-shirts. Whether you wear them or not is a different story, but at least it's to remember the journey. So now I'm going to give Niall a chance to tell us why the BSP and the block specimen is important, and what core problem it addresses in the market space today.
Sure. So really, it brings, like Ganesh said, it's a bulk export method that sits on top of clients. So ultimately, it's addressing the read scalability that plagues current blockchains. So when people think about scalability in the space, they instantly think of throughput and transactions on blockchain. But a core problem blockchains face is read scalability as well, and that's actually pulling blockchain data and being able to read it and analyze it, whatnot. And the block specimen is a fundamental piece to the network that actually resolves this. And not only a core piece to the network, but also addresses the issue in the space as a whole. So, and it also brings data composability to the space. And with this composability, it brings consistent developer experiences, no matter the ecosystem that they're developing in, whether it be Ethereum, Avalanche, Solana, Phantom, and so on and so forth. And that's the core problem that it addresses. And like Ganesh said, the whole team's worked really hard on this the past few months, the past year and a half, ultimately. And this is the first big milestone that we've really hit with regard to the Covalent network. And it's the first of many that you'll see in the coming months and years.
Amazing. And then my follow-on question is, what is the roadmap looking like? Where are we on the testnet, mainnet, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, the full network launch? Any guidance on that besides what's on the roadmap chart that's on the network landing page?
Yeah. So just last week, actually, we held the first internal workshop with the staking dashboard, where we got the marketing team up and running and actually staking test CQT on the dashboard. From here, we'll begin to actually onboard the initial cohort of network operators to testnet, get them up and running on the staking dashboard. And then once we fine-tune the model and essentially broken it and rebuilt it, we'll move the validators onto mainnet. And that's when staking will go live, which is expected at the end of Q1. And I know there's been dates floating around about when staking and stuff will go live, but anything worth developing takes time. and we've just had to actually fine tune the model and whatnot. From then, so from staking, then we'll begin to upgrade the essential block specimen, where we'll begin to see indexing take place with the software, where those block specimens will be transformed into block results. And it's at this point where we'll actually see the data that the network operators are producing feed into the Covalent data pipeline, which will be actually a really cool moment, because then the user API queries will begin to be fed from data that network operators are pulling from blockchains. From then, we'll begin to continue development of the network, essentially leading up to query nodes going live at the end of the year, which will be really cool. So network operators will be able to actually return API queries on the network, which will be a special moment, considering that it will be the full pipeline that's actually being developed specifically for Ethereum, and then we can begin to actually focus on developing the software for other blockchains.
Amazing. Thanks, Now. Okay, on to the next topic. We have an exceptional guest today. We have Felix joining us all the way across the pond from Europe. I believe he lives in Berlin. And Felix is the Chief Commercial Officer at Chorus One, which is one of the oldest and the most reputable staking providers in the space. Now, there are a lot of professional staking providers out there. What I specifically like about Chorus One is that I've been following them for years. And it's not just the professional relationship we've had at Covalent just this past year, but one is that go read their staking report. They published an exceptional report just a couple of days ago. This is state of the art when it comes to research in the staking space. Second is that, in many ways, the Cosmos ecosystem is a lot more pure, in the sense that it's about technology. They're here for the tech. They built through the bear market, and Chorus One are strong supporters of that ethos, which is very refreshing to see. And so these are some things that we really like about Chorus One, and truly honored for Chorus One to join us as the initial set of whitelisted validators to support the Covalent network. And so, Felix, a few words from you. Why are you excited about Covalent? Why did you decide to join Covalent? And what are you looking forward over the coming months?
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for this nice intro, Ganesh. And thanks everyone for having me. Again, yeah, we're super excited about Covalent. I think I can give like a little bit of a background what Chorus One does, how we generally operate, and kind of weave into how Covalent is like a key part of that story that we see. So I guess initially, as Ganesh mentioned, we started out in the Cosmos ecosystem, thinking about who's actually going to operate these networks, right? There's like a lot of people in that time were thinking about building the protocols that we see that run all these transactions in the decentralized networks, but there wasn't really anyone working on, actually operating the infrastructure of doing that. There was like an assumption, it will happen. Everyone will just run their node. Of course, these networks, especially in the beginning, are very complex, and you need like expertise to run the different stacks, and especially as there are like a lot of different networks. So the Cosmos ecosystem also comes from this mindset. There is a multi-chain world, right? There's a lot of different networks with different designs, and to really like understand them all, you need like a team to focus just on that. And that's basically what Chorus One, what we are, and what we have focused on over the last 4 years. At this point, we are live on 30 different decentralized networks. A lot of this is Cosmos networks, so kind of networks built on this Cosmos SDK that allows you to easily spin up your own blockchain. But there's also other layer one networks, like for example, Solana. We were early on Solana and realized potential. We are on Ethereum 2, and a bunch of other layer one networks like Near, where really what we enable is basically for people that want to stake their tokens to do that and earn the interest that you can earn from participating in the network by doing that with us, and also giving people a chance to kind of participate in the governance of these networks. So we really, as Ganesh also said, really put a high effort into educating people about what is going on in these networks, trying to like voice opinions maybe of people that come to us and want to like change something in the network, or are concerned about certain things, or maybe just want to change a parameter in the network, something like this, where really we see ourselves as like the extension of the voice of our delegators in a way. And yeah, why Covalent? Maybe it's like a question here. Why did we choose to take part in Covalent? I think one big thing we realized was, now we're on all these networks. We actually have a lot of need for data ourselves. Our customers are asking us for data. It's like kind of this key puzzle piece, but no one really wants to work on it almost, or it's very hard. And what we've realized, it was pretty hard, for example, even to get like things like the rewards you earn over a certain period, maybe in a proof of stake network. So we've actually built a product ourselves to kind of do this indexing manually. And we realized, wow, that's, tough work, and we can't be doing this for every network. And then suddenly we saw there like strong teams coming along with like credible backgrounds. Like we were just like kind of doing it on the side. Now we saw, okay, there's like something like Covalent really with experts that know what they're doing there, and they have like a scalable approach to actually bring this to multiple blockchains, to bring the data also in a verifiable way, which I think is very interesting. So kind of keeping that decentralized ethos in also the data space. So I think that's really what fascinated us, and why we see so much potential in Covalent, why we wanted to join it. So basically because we have that infrastructure stack on the bottom, kind of like just operating the networks, but we also have a high need for data ourselves to understand what's going on in the network, and also to provide like this data to our clients, and to do things like the research report that Ganesh already mentioned. We want to like have that data. We want to see what's going on in the network, share that with our delegators, so we all build a better financial system or decentralized ecosystem in the end. I think that's basically like a short version of why we're here, or why I'm here. Yeah.
Amazing, Felix. Thank you for that intro and those kind words. So I just want to expound on something that Felix shared. Like, he kept using the word join. In a traditional Web 2 system, you would be competing, right? We would think of this as a traditional P&L. Chorus One is competing with Covalent. Why should we open source this? Why should we share the fruits of the labor here? But in the Web3 system, because we're building a public good, I think it's an overall benefit for the entire ecosystem to share this and to work on this together. I think it's just a better future. So there's still, a lot of optimism in this space, despite, the world becoming a lot very cynical. And so, that's something that I really want to touch upon, that this system is about joining in rather than thinking about ownership stake and control and hitting your quota and stuff like that, because the outcome at the end of this is going to be the best for everyone if we collaborate. I think that's the 3-3 model, right? If you're familiar with the game theory prisoner's dilemma equation. Awesome. Okay, so one more bullet item before we can move on to Q&A. So Adrian is going to give us some information and some clarity on what is happening with the recent market cap changes. And Adrian, on to you.
Thanks, Ganesh. Yeah, so there's been a question about an increase in market cap on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Why is that, right? So basically on those sites, they calculate that based just on the simple formula, the price of CQT times the circulating supply. So we have been in discussion with both of those sites for a number of months about circulating supply, but they have been finally updated at some stage. So at that time, if you just consistently apply that formula, you would see, and then if the actual circulating supply is much larger than whatever they were reporting before, you would see like you'd necessarily see some increase in market cap. I wish they would like historically go back in time, maybe, and like present things a different way, but that's not something that we can resolve. But anyway, to make a long story short, I am writing a blog post to explain this, but I've pasted in the chat our website there, where we have always presented our circulating supply. So I think there's, there shouldn't, I mean, there's always been another source where we, have discussed like what we think the maximum circulating supply of CTT has been. And of course, we've been ably assisted by our whole team on Discord and Telegram too, where, our admins there, Abbas and Daniel, have done an amazing job explaining that question when community members have wanted to discuss that. So I just want to give a shout out to them and say thank you too. But yeah, so we can wait for the blog post that should come out tomorrow or the latest next week. We do have earn cadence. So the next cycle is E, which is everything. So maybe that blog post is part of that, or otherwise, depending if the team is up to push something out tomorrow. Thanks to Rohit and the design team for all this amazing work they've done on the network launch. And maybe we can get a banner done and the blog post out tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, happy to answer any questions too as part of the Q&A. But essentially, the circulating supply, like it should be calculated programmatically, right? At the end of the day, this is blockchain. So, the ideal way to do it either is through an API call or objectively, like just using Etherscan and having some simple formula there. So now CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap are going to use the same methodology, which is fine. Like it's something that we can accept as well. I mean, it's not perfect, like as far as circulating supply goes, but it's like more than good enough, right? And so that's the way it should be done. So yeah.
Thank you, Adrian. So two things I want to just expand on there. One is that we always default to being transparent as opposed to being non-transparent. So these numbers have been published on our website for years, almost a year now. And all of the unlocks, all of the unlock schedules, everything is public. And we will continue to be public and transparent about these things. If you look at a lot of the treasury diversification funding rounds that have happened over the past couple of months, they don't really disclose the unlock schedules or the discount from float and how much supply shock there's going to be in the market. And I think we want to lean on the transparency side, even though sometimes it may hurt us in the short term because we are a long-term play. The second point is that it's very clear we as Covalent, as a product, have a lot of work to do. Now, think about where the circulating supply actually is. It's in the web page, yes, but all the data is on chain. There's a vesting contract with a very clear vesting unlock schedule, and we know the supply. You can look it up on Etherscan. So in theory, all of these guys can literally just go to the blockchain and pull out the data and have accurate supply numbers and reflect it on their sites. But that's not the case. Why? It's just too difficult to read on-chain data. And so that just tells you that things are still too difficult. You've been working on the same problem for over 4 years, and it's still an unsolved problem. And it shows you, how far the gap is and how much work we have to do. So, ultimately, not just for Covalent, but for any company, any token, any DAO out there that wants to be transparent about its numbers, it should be super slick, right? We shouldn't have to go through all of this coordination and communication barriers just to expose something so simple and so important like circulating supply. So I think,
that's part of our mission too, part of
exactly.
Teaching people about how to use the blockchain and have a level of data literacy, I guess, regarding that.
Absolutely. We are going to have a complete session, which actually Melissa on our team is shepherding on how to read these unlock schedules. And this is not just pertaining to the Covalent CKT token, but also other kinds of tokens. How do you calculate fully diluted valuation? Maybe even as a gotcha, how do you deal with rebalancing tokens? So it's quite involved, and it takes quite a bit of expertise. And if you're, I think it's important and prudent for someone who's supporting a project to understand really what's going on here. Awesome. I think that's it for today. So let's open up the floor to questions.
All right, for those who are new, there's a section called Q&A. That's where you can add questions. I already see Daniel who has a question. Do you have plans to counter the constant error 5xx and make your service more reliable?
This is a great question and a major source of stress for the team. So the 5xx are the 500 class errors. So there's two errors that you need to care about. 5xx, so 500 series, and 4xx, there's just 400 series. 4xx are user errors. So if the API key is invalid, or you're using the wrong parameters, or you're using an endpoint that does not exist, those are 400. So the common, like 404, for example, is a 400 series error. 5xx is errors on Covalent's part. And all I can say is my apologies for the downtime we've had recently. The growth on our side is incredible, and we will be publishing all of the API call volume very soon. But basically, if you're doubling every quarter, you cannot just double your cloud costs, because that'll bankrupt the company. And what you need to do is go back and re-engineer the stack so that it scales. So it's not linear scaling. So this is a lot of work. So every 3 months, we basically have to rebuild the stack, and it's never stopping. So literally, we've grown 100 times in our traction over the past year, 100 times. And there's no way we're going to be supporting 100 times the cloud costs, because that's just, it'll be a dead end. So this is the challenge we're having. So if you look at all of the improvements that are coming on, first, the major improvement is the decentralized network. So now, there'll be lots of parties like Chorus One will be handling that query volume. So that stage is rolling out. That is the definite answer to this, but it's going to take up to a year to get that entire thing up and running. The second thing is a lot of the expensive endpoints like token balances and token holders, we're rebuilding those stacks to be more performant. So we should see improvements in those endpoints over the coming months. So the way Covalent works is on the back end, it's a different venue to talk about it. But yes, we are working super hard on this. Just rebuilding the stack each time takes time. Is just a lot of hard work.
All right, there's a question in the general chat, basically around staking. Is staking going to be live in Q1, or will it be pushed further, like Q2, like it delayed so many quarters? So yeah. So
there's, it's launching at the end of Q1. So with the mainnet launch, staking will launch. The delay is delayed that is outside our control, in the sense that the audits took a while to get through the finish line. Everyone was slammed. It took us months to get the auditors audit our code, and that's where the bulk of the delay has come from. And we just felt it was irresponsible for us to release a product out in the market which wasn't audited. I think at our scale, it doesn't make sense. So expect, late Q1, early Q2. The testnet should launch in the next couple of weeks, and it's a process. I mean, we're just going through the process as fast as we can.
Perfect. So there's one more question from the general chat. What is in your view the main value prop for Covalent versus other indexing services, graph, subquery, etc.? And the second, part two of that question is, what are the next big protocol milestones or new chain integrations? So yeah, I think we've answered this question a lot, but yeah, Ganesh, you want to highlight the competitor landscape?
Absolutely. So I think the difference comes from philosophy, right? So the way Covalent works is we index the entire chain. So all addresses, all balances, all transactions, all log events, all storage slot updates, everything that's on the blockchain. We leave no stone unturned. and put it into a database, and then we expose that data out through APIs. Unlike, I'll pick on the graph, but it could be any competitor like the graph. It's not just a graph. There's a whole class of products out there that have an alternate approach. And in the alternate approach, what you have to do is you have to sit down and write a subgraph that exports a small portion of, let's say, Uniswap or 1inch, so specific to that protocol, and then you query that small subset of the data. So what this manifests is in the product experience. So if you look at Covalent, one is that we provide a unified API, which means the exact same API works across 28 blockchains today. Exactly same. All you have to do is change the chain ID. Second thing is it enables product features that is just not possible from the subgraph approach. So I'll give you an example. If you want to have all of your historical transactions for your wallet address, let's say you're building a wallet interface like Rainbow, for example, or XDeFi. These are very popular wallets. Then what you need is you need to scan the entire blockchain because you don't know where the transactions are, right? You can't build a subgraph per wallet. That's too many subgraphs. And so that is a feature that the graph can never address. So if you go to the Covalent API, there's literally an endpoint, give me historical transactions. And you hit any of the 28 blockchains, any wallet address, and it gives you all the historical transactions with the pricing, which is critical for taxation. So if you look at another popular tool out there, Rotkey uses Covalent because this kind of taxation use case is not possible with a subgraph approach. Now, there are other pros and cons of the subgraph approach, but that's a different venue. But ultimately, the philosophy is very different. On the back end, with regards to the technology stack, they're all completely different. So our focus is on data provenance. So every step along the way, there's a proof-based system that cryptographically secures the data pipeline. In the graph, to my knowledge, that's not the case. But the graph is a great project. They're also an OG. They lived through the bear market. So definitely, play with both projects and see what's a good fit.
Part two of that question was, what are the next big protocol milestones or new chain integrations?
So we have a pretty deep stack, right? So I think there's 6 new blockchains that are coming out very soon. And most of them are EVM-based chains. So EVM-based chains are easy for us to integrate. Everything that we've done so far are EVM-based chains, all the 28. And in terms of what is coming out in that is non-EVM, 3 specific blockchains are super interesting to us and work is ongoing. Near Protocol, Solana, and Elrond. So we've been working on this for many, many months. We've put our 10,000 hours in the EVM chain. We've literally worked on just EVM for the past 4 years. And Near, Solana, Elrond, they're all completely different data models. So it requires you to basically restart your knowledge of blockchains. And so this is it's pretty difficult. And so we are going through that because we see value in those ecosystems and they're great people working behind those blockchains. It's going to take time, but we will release those blockchains in the next coming months.
Yeah, the next question is almost the same, but they've specifically mentioned DOT, that's Polkadot, Atom, I think that's Cosmos, ADA, Cardano, and Solana. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah. Sure.
So let's take the easy one, Solana. So Solana work is ongoing. I already answered that question. Let's take the other easy one, Cardano. Cardano, we need to see traction and we need to see like a governance proposal before we add support for Cardano. I know we are in talks with some of the key members there, but it's a matter of only taking on things that accrue value to Covalent at this point. Let's take Atom. So the Cosmos ecosystem is super, super interesting. Goes back to the crux of the problem. Every Cosmos zone is a completely different blockchain. So if you look at Band, Terra, Kava, and the original Binance chain, the data model is completely different. And we've had multiple chats with the Interchain Foundation, and this is an extremely hard problem to solve. So building a unified API for the data models on Cosmos is super difficult. maybe there is a transitive transformation we can build through the IBC, which is the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol. But that is work that is undergoing. It's a super hard problem. That's why if you look at the state of wallets in the Cosmos ecosystem, it's a lot of work, a lot of catch-up work compared to wallets on the Ethereum ecosystem. It's a very hard problem. Let's talk about DOT. So DOT is two things. There's the substrate side, and then there is the actual parachain. And in the parachain, we've already indexed 4 of the Moonbeam variants. So Moonriver, Moonbeam. In fact, just this week on Monday, I did a deep dive on the traction on Moonbeam, which has only been out for about 2 weeks. So what's going on with the wallet count, transaction, gas usage. So we already index Moonriver and Moonbeam, and we'll be adding other parachains as time goes on. When it comes to the actual substrate itself, substrate layer itself, the community has to tell us what exactly they're looking for on that data layer. And if there is interest in that kind of data, then we will add support for it. But right now that data is just metadata. It's not super helpful. So hopefully that answers the 4 specific assets.
Perfect. Do we have an ETA for the paid service? Daniel asks.
This is a great question. So the API itself is not going to be paid as a SaaS product, right? This is not a SaaS product. So the way this is going to happen is the last phase of the Covalent network is the query nodes. So once the query nodes come out, that's when the paid service, but that will be protocol fees. So basically what will happen is the developers, we have like thousands of developers using the API today. What they would do is they would have to make an on-chain deposit, and then the deposit would then be like a rev share or some kind of model, economic model. All of that is in our white paper. So that's when the paid service goes, and that's where the CTT utility accrues value. Until then, the service is going to be completely free. As in, we will never have like a Stripe check-in or pay us with your credit card. That will just never happen. If paid services are going on, it'll be with on-chain transactions.
Steve has a question around why we decided to go open source and its impact on the space. So I think that's the basic crux of why we are actually like going from community, community-led to community-owned. And that's our next part to essentially going decentralized. But yeah, Ganesh, you want to highlight more? Sorry.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. So if you think about where Covalent came from a closed source SaaS offering. That's what our history was over the past couple of years. And our intention has always been to go open source and be community owned. It's just that, there's a lot of proprietary tie-in, which it wasn't ready. It's a completely different path. You almost have to unlearn the lessons you've learned over the past couple of years. So it's taken us a while, but we are making concrete steps here. So now it comes down to, do we hold this close to our heart and keep it proprietary and only share it with other blockchain partners under NDA or some kind of like non-compete? Or do we just let it out there with a liberal license, which is MIT right now, and let the world adopt it? And we chose to go down the let the world adopt this because it's less about Covalent and more about the space at this juncture. And so by letting it out there, letting people play with it, improve with it, with asking for nothing in return, reminds me, it's almost like the puppy I got last year, unconditional love. So ask for nothing in return, right? And so that's what it is. I think it'll lead to a much bigger impact as opposed to keeping it proprietary or filing patents or anything of that nature. That's all the Web 2 stuff. Web 3, let it out there, play with it, adopt it, and then let's go. I think it just makes everyone more comfortable.
Perfect. I think we'll just wrap it up after this one. Last question for the day. How much is going to be the minimum of CQT to run a node?
So this is known as the minimum stake ratio or a minimum MSR. And Niall, maybe you can answer this question.
Yeah, it's 175,000 CQT at the moment. And then we'll gradually, as we open up nodes to the network, or so to the community itself, we'll gradually progressively decrease this requirement.
All right, that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone. Ganesh, you want to close it? I mean,
Absolutely. So thanks everyone for the support over the past couple of years. Thank you, Felix, for your generosity. I know it's late for you out in Europe, and we're actually going to be traveling this year. So we're going to be in ETH Denver, I think mid-Feb. The exact dates will come out on a blog post, but we have a lot of fun activities planned for that. And then we'll be going to Barcelona for Avalanche. So hopefully we get to hang out with our Denver crew and our European crew. So thank you all, and see you next month.
thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.